Hi Q&A cuties, welcome back to another episode of the Q&A podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mel. And today we have a very special guest, my very own cousin, Mia.
Hi, everyone.
Yay!
Yay! All right, Mia, would you like to introduce yourself? Quick rundown of who you are, where you're from.
Yes, of course. Thank you both so much for having me. My name is Mia. I go by Mia Legs on Instagram. And yes, I am Mel's cousin. I'm younger by two years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I also PA'd this podcast. So yes.
Oh, true facts. All right. So
True
on
facts,
to
no cap.
our topic. Yes, exactly. No cap at all. Our topic for today is raves. And so yeah, we're just gonna get into it, I guess. Lots to talk about. But yeah. So for both of you, I would like to know what brought you both into raving. And give a little rundown of like where you're at now, like how long you've been raving, I guess, as well.
I can go first since my experience is a lot shorter compared to Kevin. But for me, my first event was Dream Eater San Diego 2021. So that was like Halloween weekend 2021. It was actually not supposed to be my first event. My first event was supposed to be Beyond 2020, but obviously that was canceled due to COVID. So this was like almost everyone's first event back after COVID, or like post COVID, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that lineup was honestly goated for an LED event, especially as like their like first event in so long. Had Madion and Millennium headlining, Sun Holo, Yetsep, Manila Killa. So overall, a really great event. I'm happy that that was my first ever event. Especially with like the group that I had, it was full of like my Filipino organization fam. Just being able to be with them, and also like that also being our first interaction in a while because of COVID. But yeah, lots of amazing memories from that, and I'm very happy that it is almost my 1-year anniversary of raving. But yeah, now we can go to Kevin's experience.
I mean, mine, I feel like it's not too extensive, but it's very, I also started at an LED event. It was LED USA 2019, I believe. That lineup was amazing as well. It was like Griffin, Said the Sky, Yellow Claw, Jaws. It was an amazing first event, and I loved Petco Park. But I was brought in to raving with my big, first of all, and my organization as well. And so, I mean, ever since then, I've been going. Obviously, during COVID, I wasn't able to, and then the most recent was Nocturnal this past weekend. But yeah, it started in 2019. It's still ongoing, thankfully, and we'll keep on for a while, I hope. But what about you, Mel?
Yeah, as long as your joints keep working, huh?
Hey, no such thing as a retirement.
Yeah. They may be cracking and snapping, but you know they're still working.
Oh, so for sure.
That's all that matters. Great. Yeah, no, that's super cool to hear. For me, my first event was Crush SF in 2018, and I actually just searched up the lineup because I literally don't even remember. But it was Flashodamus, Ghastly, Yotron, Ducky, Virtue, and Michael Bricker. Do I know these people? Not really. I do know Floss and Ghastly and Yotron. I love Yotron. There's one that's blurred out, but I don't know who that. Oh, it was Kid. It was Kid, who I love. I love Kid, and so super fun event. The people who brought me in were my like Filipino Pam from Berkeley. And so shout out to Tadhana Pam. Y'all are real for that, for bringing me to my first event. But yeah, it was super fun. And obviously it was good enough for me to keep going for like several years after that. But yeah, it was a super good time. I don't think like it's nowhere near, my top fave events, but it was a good first one, I think. But yeah, so not I don't know. I don't know if y'all consider like 2018 like 4 years that long. I feel like it's super subjective. Like how long is long, for in terms of going to raves and whatnot.
I think, honestly, I think the quote unquote retirement age has changed now because there was that 1 year break or 1 or 2 year break in the raving community. So a lot of my like high school friends that started raving way before I did, like they were raving when I was still in high school, would say that they would retire after like graduation, but here they are after graduation still going to events. So yeah, I feel like not only within the rave community, but a lot of like age out like situations have changed just because we had like that 1 year of like no one doing anything,
No, for sure. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up because I personally thought I was gonna retire when COVID started. I was like, that's enough. That's it for me. And I had not like a terrible experience right before it, but I did go to an event February right before quarantine. Literally a month before we all had to go back inside. And so I remember I went to the event and then I got a little sick and I high key thought it was COVID. It wasn't, but I really thought it was. And that's when I knew. I was like, no more events. Like I got the whatever this new pandemic is. I got it I have it still. No, I'm just kidding. But I got it from this event and it was really scary and it traumatized me. But I think I was out for so long that when you, Mia, brought up Dream Eaters, I was like, maybe I'll go. And so
obviously that was like a lineup that you couldn't say no to.
Oh yeah, especially the fact that it was in San Diego too. I was like, yeah, like that's perfect. But yeah.
I always say that I feel like I always tell people that once I go to EDC, like that's my retirement. After that, because I can't imagine anything more than that. But I would always joke too. Whenever did you ever see like those old couples at the events?
Yeah.
And they're just like vibing in the back, doing whatever they want. I always joke like that's gonna be me after like actual retirement. Like I'm just gonna go to these events with my significant other and just vibe in the back.
No,
and
yeah,
literally
as you
just
should.
jeans. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, like not even caring about what your outfit is and whatnot, like just there for the vibes.
Yeah.
I feel that.
No,
Yeah.
I've literally met multiple people who have like their own families. They're like well into their 20s, into their 30s. Like I'm at Hard Summer during Joji's set. I literally met someone who was like talking about like his son, right? And he's like showing me pictures of his son. He's like 5 years old, and I'm like I kind of want to be like that. Like even if I have a family, I want to be able to bring like my kids into this community, like show, like I don't know, like expose them to it at a pretty early age, because it's like I feel like raving can be very taboo. It is a very taboo topic, especially with like like the negative stigma behind it. But being in the community, you're aware that it's so much more than that. So like if I have my own kids, I want to be able to like expose them, show them the truth about the raving community, and then just regardless if it does become their thing or not, I just want them to know like everything about it.
Yeah, for sure. I think on the topic of families bringing their children or like their younger siblings and cousins and whatnot, I do want to give a nod to the huge growth of like the raving community in the 90s and the 2000s. And I mean, it definitely spans, way before that. Like apparently according to Wikipedia, 1950s, but I mean, I always associated it with like that 90s, early 2000s culture of like underground warehouse, EDM raves and whatnot. And so I don't know, maybe it's like some movie or something that had like a garage rave, and I was like, oh, that looks cool and whatnot. But I think it's still generally in like an early phase where, like right now, to where I feel like those quote unquote like older folks that are at events were those same people in the 90s and early 2000s that were like going hard, right? And so, I mean, we probably will see people our age when we're like 30 and 40 going to events and bringing their children because it's still new, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that generation is literally bringing their, the generation under them to like events and whatnot. And it's where I want to say it's like the first fold. Like, it's like the first time the, older generation is, bringing, I guess, the younger folks into raves. Like, we're only the second generation is what I'm trying to say. In what,
Yeah.
like a mainstream rave, we're only the second generation. So I did want to, since you were bringing up the community and whatnot, I want to ask, I mean, the three of us have seen and we know that when you go to a rave, you're going to see a lot of Asian folks and a lot of queer folks. And, our podcast being the Q&A, I want to ask y'all, why do you think there's a lot of queer folks and Asian folks and queer and Asian folks?
And we've talked about this kind of like in short before, but I always tell people it's essentially a form, at least this is how I perceive it, a form of escapism, from the reality that we had growing up and always being under strict rules, always being watched, I guess, and kind of going into this environment where you can let loose and let loose and just have fun and do whatever you want, where it's kind of like a judge-free zone where you can be yourself, and just escape a little bit from reality into a place where everyone's just enjoying themselves and having fun.
Yeah, I definitely see that a lot because I guess with the culture of Asian Americans having incredibly strict parents, those strict parents create the most unhinged children that just kind of want to explore everything, just try everything, because they weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do growing up. And so I guess it still ties into or kind of backs the negative stigma, like, that's tied with raves. But, like, these kids that were, like, sheltered their whole lives, they just kind of want to go out, like, let loose, try everything under the sun, and surprisingly, raves offer that for them. Like, regardless of what the extent may be, what they want to do within that spectrum, like, they'll just do it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I think one tangible concept that can justify all of the things we've seen is PLUR, right? Like PLUR culture and PLUR vibes and whatnot. And just knowing that when you're there, the peace, love, unity, respect vibes will kick in, and it's going to be a judgment free zone. It's going to be, people loving on each other, taking care of each other and whatnot. And I think that's why it's so attractive for me in my own experience as a queer and Asian person, that I know I'm not going to be judged. And I know that not only am I going to be accepted and tolerated, but also celebrated in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, because you said it too, and I kind of did as well, about the judgment-free zone, I guess, or community that they have, or that we always experience. When I said that, I almost like took a step back and said, like, is it a completely judge-free zone, and is it necessarily like fully accepting? Because it definitely is compared to reality, I guess. But how do you both feel on how judgment-free is it for you in your experience?
I feel like for the most part, we, like us as a group, because for most of the past events we've been to, we have always gone together. So for the most part, we are like like actively surrounding ourselves with people that we know will accept us. We know that they won't judge us. Like we know the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, right? But there are some people that do go, and they're not super like tied into the whole PLUR aspect or the idea of PLUR. They just kind of go, and I guess abuse like the negative
Sorry.
parts that come with raving. Like they're kind of just there for their own selfish reasons in a way, and I saw a lot of that at Hard Summer, to be honest, because it's such a mixed community. Like you're mixing the rap and hip hop community with the EDM and PLUR community. That those are literally like two different like lifestyles kind of coming together within the same space. So you're not going to meet people that are, I guess, on the same like mindset or have the same ideals as you.
Yeah, it's definitely emphasized and reinforced by the fact that EDM is like basically mainstream now, right? It makes up a lot of, I guess, pop music and stuff that's on the radio. And because of that, I think there is kind of, and not to gatekeep in any way, but there is an influx of people who don't really know PLUR culture, or who obviously aren't from like the rave scene, where generally it's going to be more accepting. And I recognize that I'm technically a newbie, and I'm imposing myself onto a community that wasn't mine to begin with, and so I'm aware of that. So yes, I think there is just that influx of a bunch of people who come from different types of crowds and like different types of concert mannerisms, I guess, that aren't always the same as the one you'd find at a rave.
Yeah, because even now I feel like the idea of PLUR is not changing, but it's different now almost, because you don't really see, like as many candy kids that like you would see all like their whole arms covered in candy, like necklaces.
Yeah.
It's completely different now because it's very rare to see that, and I never, honestly, not that many times see people PLUR each other. I think I've seen I see Mia do it a lot, and which is like great, and like I love seeing it, but I never see it as often anymore at these events.
For sure. I definitely get what you mean. Like when you were saying that, I realized a lot of people will tend to just keep to their groups, like for me, like what Kevin was saying, I show up to almost every event like my arm is stacked with candy, like new candy that I've gotten from other people. Like I'm just ready to like meet new people, trade, play with them. Like that's why I go. Like that's one of the main reasons why I go, and I still keep going. But I noticed it within like my friends from high school too. It doesn't seem like they really try to embrace that aspect of PLUR by like reaching out to people that they just run into or meet in the crowd, and like try to, I don't know, just become friends with the people around them that aren't already in their immediate friend group, Like they kind of still just keep to themselves, and it's just really interesting to see that. Like even my friends that I took to Hard Summer for the first time, they were like so intrigued with the fact that I would like talk to anyone and everyone that was nearby me, just because like that's what like raving allows me to do. Like it makes me comfortable to just talk to people. Like I'll just compliment like their outfit, their hair, their makeup, and then we just start a full-blown conversation, and then I'll like by the end of the night I already have their Instagram and everything,
No, 100%. I feel like chances are they're gonna want to talk to you, and they're gonna want to share something with you, maybe even like, exchange Instagrams and whatnot. A lot of things that people wouldn't do outside of an event, right? And one thing, like, I don't know, I feel like I get these like bro ass, like straight ass dudes that are like, yo, your top is sick. And meanwhile, I'm wearing like this like skimpy, like showing the shoulders crop top, right? But they're like, "Yo, that shirt is tight." I'm like, "Thank you." Like, wow, you know. And so like, those bro dudes, like those are they pass the vibe check, right? The other ones that like don't do that, or like they give you stares, they push you and shove you, like, yeah, no, they're not it. And I have another experience from the same night when I was with like a person that night. Like I was with them, standing next to them, no, not, we were like whatever, embracing. But someone was walking by us. It was like this like bro ass dude, super tall. He like was quickly just racing by, and then he just goes gay to our faces. And like after like we were just like hugging or something, and then I was like, wait, what? And then my friend was like, wait, what? What the fuck did you just say? And so I was, and I do think that's like one of the very first times that has happened to me out of my 4 years of going to events. So yeah, it was super interesting.
It's just so weird to see that, like, first of all, in this day and age, and in this community, like, they should have known, they should be aware the types of people that they will see at this event. Like, it's literally a judgment-free zone. Of course, you're going to see people of all different backgrounds, like racial backgrounds, sexualities, like whatever the fuck.
It was crazy. I felt like it wasn't real. Like I thought I imagined it or something.
You're like, is he being
like
serious right now?
Right, no, like I was like, is that my internalized homophobia like manifesting itself? Like what was that? That was crazy. Kevin, do you have any experiences like that? Or
I was trying to think, and I think I always stick, like Mia said, in like the safety of my group almost, just because kind of to avoid those situations, because that's like luckily that hasn't happened to me. And I don't know if it's because I'm like with a big group of people or just because I got lucky, but I haven't had that experience, thankfully.
wait, Mia, so you explained like PLUR culture so well, but I mean, you started after me, and when I started, I was completely clueless. Like, I had to be educated on what the vibes were, how to act, who to talk to, and whatnot. So, how'd you learn all of that?
So for me, I started listening to EDM because I had friends that graduated class of 2018 from high school that were going to their first events, and so like my friends were just super immersed in the culture when they first started. So I kind of just wanted to experience what they were experiencing. So the more I got into EDM and like messaging them, being like, "Oh my god, that looks so much fun!" Like I want to know everything about this. They would be the ones to explain to me like how the whole rave community is, like what PLUR is, like just I learned everything from them rather than just kind of going into it blind, which I'm super, super grateful for, because I know I have friends that listen to like dubstep when we were little, right? But still with that, regardless if you know the music, just going into events, like you're never gonna know unless other people tell you like what the whole culture is, you know? So I'm very thankful and grateful to have like friends that were waiting for me to go to my first event to share that experience with me, and like they made me aware. They like told me everything to expect. So yeah,
For sure. Yeah, and how much older were they? Because I do want to bring up how I've always heard that San Diego, was always one of the early Asian American rave roots, and so like do you think they're part of that lineage, kind of?
my friends know, surprisingly, like because I know we do have older cousins that are like at least 5 years, close to 10 years older than us.
Mm-hmm.
that were raving when we were little, but
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't know about that until I started. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't really know that they were super, like, like super active in the community either. My friends were only like 2 years older than me. Like, they graduated
Gotcha.
2 years before I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I already knew about everything from them because they went to like events at such a peak time. Honestly, like class of 2018 to 2019 seemed like such a peak era
Yeah. No.
of
100%.
festivals in California, like
Yeah.
especially SoCal.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, but like going back to like our cousins, like our
No,
own
okay,
family
yeah,
members.
that's what I wanted to go back to. Like, I will never forget that one day when I was at our cousin's house and our other cousin was wearing this like big ass flannel, but then like she was like wearing, very short shorts and
Like
like
fishnets,
thigh high socks and fishnets, and I was like, "Where are you going, Ate?" And
but she
then
doesn't
she go,
normally dress like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then she was like, "Don't tell anyone. I'm just going to a party." And then I was like, "Okay." And like, oh, the main thing that gave it away that I was like, "This is not a normal party," was the pigtails. Like, yeah, it was the pigtails, and I was like,
That
"She
don't look
is
like you.
going somewhere specific."
Mm-hmm.
But I was a child at this, so like, she was in high school, so I definitely had to be like fifth grade or something, right?
Yeah, when you and like our other cousins mentioned like remembering our older cousins
Yeah,
behaving like and looking like that, I'm like, I never saw that. It was like so
right.
surprising. I'm like, it makes
Hmm.
sense. Like honestly, I'm not gonna be like, that's so uncharacteristic of them because it makes sense. But it just I
Yeah.
never saw that growing up.
No, and it's safe to say that our cousins were part of that really early Asian American wave of,
Yeah,
people from SoCal going into raves and whatnot. Like, that's crazy. And then now we're in it. But like there was that whole, long ass gap of us not even knowing what it
they paved
was,
the
which
way
is
for
crazy.
us. We're just
Like
following
low
their
key.
footsteps.
Like low key, yeah. And then they'll be like, "Oh, you're going to that event. You're going to that event. I missed that event. Like I love that event." I'm like, "Girl, you didn't tell me. Like you should have told me. You were going to all these things." But yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, we're following in their footsteps and whatnot. But Kevin, do you have any like older cousins or relatives that went to events that you heard of?
Um, I wish I did. I think
Was it
just
more just like
hearing,
you and your sister, like kind of
yeah,
figuring it
because
out?
hearing you guys talk about it, like I wish I kind of had even that early exposure, like maybe you didn't even understand, but all of my family's in the Philippines, so I don't
Uh,
know what events they have there. I assume that like maybe they go to certain things, like maybe clubbing, other events, but I don't know how it is over there and how it differs from here. Um, but yeah, my sister and I actually went to our first event together, which I thought was pretty cool. But
how was
that's
that for you?
that was pretty much it. Um, she had already been to like other things. It just wasn't an event, which so I was kind of relying on her for the experience, kind of like how you said Mia, that you had other older people to like teach you about PLUR culture and how to act and how to like guess present yourself at these things. I was with her throughout the entire time, basically. Like we were side by side, and she was. What's really cute was like she was always making sure I was okay, um, like just like checking in, like, "Oh, are you good? Are you good?" But yeah, just going to that event together, I think was like perfect for us because just having like your older sister, older sibling there was like amazing to me.
Wait,
But
sorry. Did you say that was both of your first events?
first
Ladusa.
rave,
First rave.
yeah, yeah,
Wait, your first rave.
both of ours.
That's crazy.
I
So in
know.
So
2019.
were you like doing gay shit? Like what was the vibe?
Oh, I actually forgot about that because I
Right, because
was
that's
with.
like a staple at every event that I go to. I'm like, I gotta do some gay shit right now. So,
Um, I was with someone at the time.
mm,
Um, and so we did go together and like we were with my sister. She was very oblivious to the situation. So like we did, but she thought was like because I've asked her about it, and her thought was, oh, like they're just really close. They're like
They're just
bros.
They're just
Like
P-bros.
we are just bros,
Oh
you know?
my
Yeah.
gosh.
And she just assumed that, which I guess is like kind on her part. I don't know.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Like she's so, she's open-minded.
okay.
Yeah, she's like, that's
okay,
cool.
Yeah, but yeah, no, because then later, like, I did bring it up to her, of course, and tell her the situation, and she like was like, "What? Like, no way!" Even though like all of like her friends that were with us were like, "You didn't know? Like, come on,
Like, come on,
like, you saw what was going on over there." Yeah,
that's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever get to the point of bringing my sibling. Like, obviously, I could go with my cousins, but I don't know about my sibling yet. But mainly, it's because she's just not a EDM rave person. That's pretty
I
much
think it's
the
like
main...
a difference in like culture dynamics. Like who
sure.
you would want to like in your head. You're like, I know I would bring these people if they asked me to.
No. I would love to bring her. But I just don't know if she would enjoy the music. Yeah. That's like the main thing. Yeah. That's fair. But also, I mean, to be fair too, you are onto something, Mia, because since you do know her, I think there is kind of a type of person who would go and would be comfortable. Because, obviously at an event, very touchy. You have to be okay with being in like thousands of people's faces and whatnot, and so I don't know if she's like that type of person.
Yeah.
She loves like a chill concert vibe, so I'm like, but I'd love to bring her. Like, I'd love for her to be there,
So, like, about what you were saying about that bro, whatever dude was like complimenting that skimpy shirt or top you're wearing. How do you feel like do you feel like you've always dressed to these events as like in a certain way, or has it evolved? Has it changed? Like what was it for you?
For me personally, I've always tried to err on the side of queer and like, gender expression and whatnot. Like cropping every shirt that I have, like it'll be a plain black tank top, but I crop it and I'm like, it's rave ready. Like that's it. 100 times better. So yeah, first event at Crush SF, I cropped the tank top, wore some like booty shorts and whatnot, and that's it. I just think currently I try to have a little bit more taste, kind of just like, and trying to find things that are already made that err on the queer side, as y'all can probably find on my Instagram. Leave a like and a comment at watermelon. But anyway, yeah, so I've been trying to like seek out things that are like more gender expressive, for my own like sense of style and whatnot. Just trying to be more kind of exciting, because I know men's fashion is like very boring, and so yeah, just want to try out more stuff in the future. Yeah,
it's a lot harder for men, honestly, because there's like a spectrum of what you can already wear. Like men's fashion in general is really hard as it is, and then once you get down to like rave fashion, it's just like
a button up and some shorts. Cool.
Yeah,
like that's
come off at some point anyway.
Jersey,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, literally. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like there are more queer men that are kind of advocating for just being in the rave community in general. Like I have a friend that you met at IO, Mel, one of my old teammates that like always goes in like a fishnet. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'm a fan. I love him.
I love him so much, but he like has the most amazing like fits for like queer men, like queer like rave outfits, and I'm just like every single time he goes to an event, it's a slay, absolute slay.
Absolute
you also met him
slay.
at you also met him at Dream Eaters.
Dream Eaters, yeah. Yes. So if you're listening to this and you want to try something new and wear something skimpy or femme or
just fucking
edgy, just do it. We're gonna eat it up. we're gonna eat it up. Okay, Mia.
Hmm.
What have you worn, and kind of how do you decide what you're gonna wear to your next event?
Honestly, the easiest event to kind of find an outfit for would be Dream Eaters or Escape, because it's Halloween themed. Obviously, I just kind of default to, I don't know, whatever anime I like at the time. So like this year is also going to be. I did Demon Slayer last year. I'm gonna do Demon Slayer again this year. I also wore a onesie last year, a Pokemon onesie last year. Everyone called me crazy because it was hot. I did not mind. I thought it was adorable.
And
But,
it was cold later on.
It was cold
So.
later on. I was like, not me.
You won. Yeah.
So yeah, Escape and Dream Eaters are just super easy. Like literally just pick anything. You can find a quote unquote slutty outfit for it. But other events too, like I don't know. It kind of depends on what kind of vibe I get from the event. But just like overall, like I would not imagine myself going out in public like dressing the way I do at raves, because being a pretty chubby girl, like I'm 150 pounds, like 5'1", I'm not skinny at all. Like
you
I don't
got
know,
body yaddy for days. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But just trying to have the confidence to go out in these outfits, knowing I'm not the like most ideal body type, has like my confidence has been growing. I've been becoming so much more comfortable wearing these types of outfits, while also like finding outfits that work better for me and work well for my body shape. So it's just kind of I see it as kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing, where it's
For
like
sure.
I'm accepting, like I finally accepted the fact that no one's gonna judge me because I'm not skinny. You know, like I get hella fucking compliments. Like I'm not gonna deny that I get so many compliments at every event that I go to. It's because I know what works for my body, not just in rave outfits, but in clothes in general. Like, yeah, I know it fits me. So
For sure.
that's kind of what I just go based off, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So would you say there is kind of a sense of body positivity in PLUR culture
For
and whatnot?
sure. No, for sure. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to my littles about it before. One of them's not super confident in their like body image, and I'm literally like, come on, no one is gonna judge you. And it's just that like mental health that you have to get over yourself in order to like just go have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like embrace it, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
I like what you said about because I mean I feel like it is a very body positive like community, and also just an area of exploration almost for some people, because I know you all you all saw my Beyond Day 2 outfit of me literally just in like gym clothes, and like I don't even know what I wore day 1, but just I was always scared to like explore different things, and I would always just stick to kind of like what you guys brought up, like a t-shirt and shorts maybe. But now that I have you guys to like help me and like understand what else I can do, yeah, I think it's a great place for people to get out of their comfort zone, because it will work out in the way you want it to. And
It really did, period, bestie, because you ate that outfit up at Nocturnal.
but
Everyone at Kevin
No,
Cole Gal, go like
literally.
that picture. That top was everything.
I'm so glad he switched his top last minute.
I know. I see. That's the thing. I even almost wore the other top just because it's something. I mean, I still liked it, but maybe it just wasn't for that event, or maybe it wasn't for that.
No,
so.
yeah, that other one really gave Nocturnal. Like I think it was perfect.
No, for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you guys told me to switch, and I actually switched it.
It's funny though, because you're like considerably tall, so you have the body to be able to wear whatever and look good. Like as you said, like I know you're like trying to become more experimental, but even you just going in gym clothes, it's like, all right, he looks good. Like, that's not fair.
We go Triton shirt.
Air Titans. Salty.
Yeah, no.
So, as you know, a queer Asian man was wearing a shirt like that, which, you know, is a little bit more on the femme side. Was it liberating in any way? Like, how did you feel? Were you scared? Were you nervous?
Oh, definitely like nervous. Because, you know, in college, I even had like a mesh shirt that I bought to go to an event, but as soon as I put it on, I hated it. I hated the way I looked in it. Like, I just didn't like the way it fit me, the way I looked. So to like fast forward to now, like 2 years later, I can feel confident in it and like actually like the way I look and like want to take pictures, like remember this moment, remember like this outfit and all that. So, um, you know, obviously I still leave with like a flannel over and stuff and like just cover up, but it just feels good to get to that event and like see, you know, how many other people like are dressed up in different ways in their own like styles and like how they present themselves in their outfits and their personalities through that. So it's,
For
yeah,
sure.
it was like almost a liberating, like you said, experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I feel like everyone's outfits look 100 times better when you're at the event. Like
No,
in the
yeah.
bathroom with that like ugly, you know, ugly bathroom lighting, you're just like punched
The
over.
hotel
Like,
lighting.
you guys like it? Yeah. But then like when you're at the event, walking around like with your
It's
shoes
because
on and
the
everything.
environment adds to it. It's like, oh yeah, I belong here.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, it's so out of context, like
Mm-hmm.
in a normal ass bathroom, right? Like the face jewels and like, you know, the lingerie and whatnot. Like, yeah. Um, but so on that topic, and kind of going back to the person who, you know, basically hit crimed me and my friend at the event, I wanted to talk about how, which I agree, you know, it is super liberating. I wore also like something that was like aired on the femme side, and I was nervous too because we, you know, we talk about PLUR culture and rave culture being so queer, you know, queer friendly, but I want to say, although it's queer friendly and, you know, should be, it's it can feel very straight dominant. And, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe we are the majority, like the queer folks, and the, you know, queer folks are the majority and whatnot. But sometimes, personally, I feel like we're not. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to wear this right now because I feel like a bunch of like the bro dudes are gonna like stare at me and whatnot. You know, there's that one too where it's like the scariest group you can pass by is like a group of teenage boys, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like you don't know what they're gonna say or what they're gonna do, and so just like that energy, I feel like sometimes can ruin my like rave experience. Sometimes I don't know if y'all have had that.
I get what you mean. I've never experienced it, but I feel like, or at least it's always in the back of my mind where it's, you know, you're near someone that gives off like bro energy or vibes or whatever, and you think
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, are they judging me? Like, why, if they're not vibing with you or the area that you're in and stuff like that, it kind of like concerns you, and then you have like this thought process where you're like kind of just overthinking the entire time too. So
Mm-hmm.
I've never experienced someone making a comment, but I feel like I've experienced the thoughts and the concern of that and
Yeah.
worries.
I don't think I've really ever come across it like the way you're depicting it. It's more just being a woman, like just there being any straight male presence around me. I'm just scared in general. Like even though raving is my safe space, it's still like this person could pull something and be really weird. Like there was like one time during Beyond where some guy like spilled his drink or just like I don't know, just spilled water everywhere and it kind of got on me too. And I was like, And they were like looking at me right after it happened. I was like,
Yeah,
"Is this
it's
supposed to be on
like
purpose?" And then the same guy like
yeah.
ended up trying to talk to me about Valentino Con, and I'm like, "Is this really happening right now?"
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess that can we can kind of segue into like the dangerous side of raves and whatnot. And you know, Mia and I talked about it in the hotel room after knock, but the whole like that one drug that can make you you can't say no basically, and a lot of people had that happen to them at EDC the previous year and
Apparently, there
whatnot.
was someone who either passed away or was um just hospitalized because they were like like whatever they were taking was laced with fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like that was
I think.
the biggest thing that happened afterwards. Like I don't know if you guys saw it, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about it until after. Like, I
Mhm.
heard it from a friend that um, it was. They don't. I don't know if any updates since, but
Yeah,
when
me
I read
neither.
it, it was that they think that it was laced with fentanyl and he OD'd,
Mhm.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's always those dangers of these events,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Okay, so on that note, let's rapid fire things to be careful and things you should make sure to do at a rave. PSA, everyone listen up right now. If you weren't tuned in earlier, you better listen now because we are experienced and we have a lot of advice to give you. First of
Num-
all, make sure
Number
you know
one.
where your wallet and phones are.
Yep.
Okay? Keep it in a bag if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing, taking or being offered water or any drinks by people that aren't in your group. Like that's the scariest thing. Like regardless if you're low on water, like only take water or any drinks from people that you know.
Yes.
Yeah, or just bring like water packs. Like honestly, like
Bring water for
lifesaver.
yourself.
Bring water packs.
Mm-hmm.
Hold. I always hold my phone. I don't know about you guys, but I just
I
hold
always
it
hold my
because it's
phone.
just easier. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've always heard the stories of people losing their phone.
The only time I've
Um,
like not held my phone was like my rave babe would hold it for me. And that's the only time I wouldn't have my phone on me. And I'd still like check with him, like, you have my phone, right? And he's like, yeah.
mhm. Fans.
Fans, bring
Oh my god.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just being offered anything from someone that you don't know, regardless if like you just met them and you're vibing, just still be careful.
Yes. Yeah. Because like people will offer you stuff. Chances are, you know, we talked about it, PLUR culture. They're gonna try to help you out and everything, but always be careful. Like give it a second look before you take something.
Yeah.
And be aware of your surroundings because there was one time, it was at the end, but like people were messing with my backpack and I didn't even know. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
Amberlyn that was like
Oh, what
she
the?
turned around and was like, "What are you guys doing?" And I didn't even know what they were doing.
Whoa.
It's just because something got caught on my backpack, so they're trying to get
Oh,
it out. But like
Mm-hmm.
if they were stealing something, I wouldn't even know because I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
So just be aware, or like have your friends around you. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I like having like the groups because you can kind of watch over everyone else too.
The this move
Yeah,
when
me
whenever
and
something's
yeah,
Chantel.
when
happening.
someone's
Me,
crossing.
No,
Chantel, and
you guys
Yeah,
Kevin.
you two, y'all have that
perfect.
unlocked
Anytime
for
you see
sure.
someone,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's always one arm is like holding everyone and like making way, the other one's fanning
Mm-hmm.
everyone walking by.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I've had a friend. I was at audio with them, and they got their phone stolen, and we're pretty sure it was this dude who was like walking the opposite direction from the stage, like shoving people, like obviously shoving people, and then you could hear the people in front of us that he shoved. They're like, "What the heck, bro? Like, why are you so aggressive? Why are you so mean?" And then after he passed by us, my friend like felt his pockets and his phone wasn't there. And so like if there's someone who's like shoving or like causing a scene, being like super aggressive next to you, make sure that like they didn't steal something from you because like sometimes they do that to divert from the fact that they like pickpocketed you.
Mhm.
Sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Any other advice that y'all have?
So,
Yeah.
how about you two? What are your thoughts on rave days?
Mm, I think rave days are very fun.
They are.
Like very fun. It makes the for me personally, because I'm like an affectionate person, sometimes, I feel like not all the time, but like at an event, if you are that type of person, like it will make the event a lot more fun. And you know, one I think it is rooted a lot in the fact that I am queer, and that you know those kinds of affection and being publicly in love is way more accepted at an event like that, as opposed to just walking down the street or at a you know a straight club, nightclub, and whatnot. So I think for me that's why I think rave bays are fun. I mean, I've had events where I didn't have one, and I still quite literally my favorite event still I think it was the one where I didn't have one, and it was very fun, just because I had the perfect group. And so I think that's the thing, like if you this hasn't happened with like y'all, but like if you're with a group that you don't like, the rave bait, you know, can help out with that. But anyway,
That is
yeah.
true.
But yeah, on that note, I don't know if, you know, they're viable, like post-rave, because, you know, it's like definitely like a love under the influence situation. You know, substance or not, I think there's always that kind of vibe of when you meet someone at like a concert or something, and you think it's like, this is the love of your life. And then after the event, not only does the post-concert depression hit, but also the post like meeting someone depression and whatnot. But yeah, those are my 2 cents. If you find love at a rave, it can happen, but don't expect the best to come out of it.
Yeah, like don't expect too much from it. I only had a rave bait once, and that was my first ever event. Like all my other events after that, I've just like always been vibing with my friends, you know? Like it having a rave bait can definitely help depending on the artist. Like especially with us, we do listen to a lot of like the simpy artists. So for me, I've always been like, damn, if I had a rave bait right now. Like I went to Arm & Hammer's show. If I had a rave bait that night, bro. But that's just me. That's just me personally. But overall, like, I don't think you have to rely on getting a rave bay to make your night, you know? Especially, like, if you're already going with your friends, just have fun with them, you know?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am trying to not have one, but but I agree with everything you said, Mel, too. Like, you can't expect anything, you know, after it, because, you know, it's kind of like the whole concert thing. It's like, if it is the love of your life, it is, but if it's not, you know, you have to be okay with that.
Main rule of thumb: find a rave bay that's from your city to make it at least easier to hang out with them after the rave.
First question you ask, where are you from?
Where are you from, first of all? Yeah.
Before we dance.
Or like
Diego, max 30-minute distance? Yeah. Like, oh, you're from the Bay? Never mind.
It's like, ooh.
Bro.
Yeah, that's far.
L.
I'm sorry.
That's an actual L if you like do meet someone from the Bay. Like not
because of the distance, bro. Not because they're from the Bay, right?
Distance.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, wait. Let's not get the whole Bay Area to hate us right now. Yeah. It helps if you are able to hang out with them after the event, just so you can like see, was it the event or was it
like an actual connection?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool though that if you like do have one, and like let's say even if they're not from the area, you can still go to like maybe even future events with them, and just it could just be like an event thing, you know, like you just hang out and just
like this is your
have fun
person
together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I feel like a lot of rave fams find each other through, like they meet at a rave and then they just always go to raves together after.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, in another timeline, that's us. Like, if Kevin and I didn't play Val beforehand, we might have met at a rave, and then we would all be a rave fan. You know?
That's true.
Probably.
In another
Yeah.
universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's time for the end of podcast Q&A, and we actually have we wanted to highlight this question because it was actually really good, and we might actually be speaking about it later as a topic. But so the submission is from Chantel, and the question that she would like us to answer is, do you feel like you code switch or adapt how you talk / what you talk about with peers that are not Asian? I feel like I do see myself doing this sometimes, and love y'all.
Love you too.
Love you too, Chantel. But yeah, so how do you, either of you, feel like you ever code switch or kind of adapt how you speak or what you talk about with other people that may not be or identify as Asian?
I will be
Yeah.
honest. I will be very honest. I have very few friends that are non-Asian, so I'm not afraid to admit that I'm in like an Asian bubble, but that is because I choose to surround myself with these specific individuals, and they are individuals who are very, I don't know, just like culturally aware, aware with like their culture, like just American like societal culture in general. So these are just the people that I've naturally gravitated to and made these connections with. So I don't think I've ever experienced having that code switch unless it's like with my friends. I have different friend groups that act different ways compared to each other, talk different ways. So that's kind of where like the code switching for me comes from. Like I'll talk in a certain way with some of like a specific group of my friends, and then like I'll talk another way with a different group. But with peers that are not Asian, I don't really have much to really add to that, if I'm being honest.
I would like to quickly note that you also did grow up in an area that was predominantly Asian. So
Yes,
that
like
might,
majority of my friends were Filipino, Vietnamese, Chinese, but that's just
Mhm.
because of the area that I grew up in, and I still live in this area. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, you probably do. I mean, let me know if you don't, but like you code switch, at work, right? When you're serving folks that
Oh, for
aren't.
sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
as a server in like a restaurant, of course I'm gonna code switch. I definitely talk a lot more in a certain way more posh than I usually do. I don't know, just
For
because
sure.
it's not really showing my real personality. But yeah, like if anything, the way I've been talking in this podcast is low key like how I talk with customers. But that's just because I'm like that's what I'm used to when I'm projecting myself. I feel like Mel has a lot more to say, considering of like I don't know, like your childhood too.
Yeah, like I could get into the inverse, which is I grew up in a area where Asians are a very small minority, and I definitely kind of like Mia had friend groups who had different vibes. I mean there usually was like a majority in each group that I would have to adapt to. I think that's how I would define my code switching. And I can name them like ASB. I definitely had to act more, you know, hey guys. And so it was very definitely had to change not only my tone but my mood and like my just how code switching, like it was like textbook example of when I had to not talk about anime. I had to hide my accent, which comes out sometimes, because at home I always heard Pangasinan. I just recently learned how to speak it, but I feel like I did kind of acquire an accent from hearing it all the time. But I definitely had to enunciate all of my words, when I hung out with, more of my ASB folks. But then I had like my other group who were predominantly Asian, and we would talk about anime all the time. We talk about like our parents and our cultures and whatnot. And definitely lived different lives with different friend groups.
I feel like we're all on different, like we've all had different experiences. Like because I was gonna say mine was opposite of Mia as well, because I grew up like in Orange County, predominantly white area, went to predominantly white school. And I thought it's still different from UML too, because I did have a group of Asian friends, but it was almost like, I mean, even myself, I was like very whitewashed too, and I still feel like I can be. And I still do, like growing up, especially in school, I would always code switch and try to adapt to the likings of like other individuals, because I thought that was what was cool at the time. And I think one of the biggest things is, I don't know, you know, the brand Vineyard Vines. Like I was in love.
Oh, I bet you were.
Like I wanted all the shirts, I wanted all those long sleeves, like boat shoes, khaki shorts, just like
No,
I
yeah.
was, I don't know if like that's considered code switching. That's like your whole personality, but
No, I think it is. You are definitely onto something.
yeah, no, so that's it's definitely something that I did growing up, because I didn't have a lot of, you know, culturally Asian friends, at least growing up. And then like luckily now through college and stuff, I've changed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I can talk about this, which is obviously why we're gonna have an episode about this later. But I have this like quick little anecdote I will never forget. When I first day of 6th grade, my older cousin who went to the same school as me, who was an 8th grader, was like, "Hey, Mel, when when you talk to people here at this school, you have to talk like this and pretend you're a skater. And then if they or like if they ask that if you skate, say that you used to skate, because that's how you'll make friends here." And I'm like, huh? Like I just want to do my math homework and watch cartoons and whatnot, watch anime, and so
It's funny because they would always try to actually do that. Like when we would hang out, they would skate, they would break dance. So he was trying to prepare you. Like
no,
actually.
I mean it really was that. No, it was definitely like a whole training, to make sure I'm like socialized in a way that would fit in at that middle school. And then fast forward to high school when Asian culture popped off and, everyone was into K-pop, anime, and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, finally I can talk about things that I like. And yeah, and then in college, obviously, I finally found a Filipino community and whatnot, which I will talk about in another episode. But yeah, long life of code switching, I feel like. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, no, we can go into a lot more detail about this later.
Thank you, Chantel, for the question. Such a good question.
Yeah, no, I feel like we could talk forever about this, but
and maybe you could talk about it yourself,
yeah,
Chantel.
maybe
On the
we'll
show.
see her here. Who knows? Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Any last words, Mia? Thank you for having, or thank
My
you
final
for being on
words
here.
of life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous. I stream, but it's still like I haven't streamed in a while, so just like being interviewed too. Like that's fucking weird. It's like, ugh.
Thank you for being on our show and answering our questions, and we love you. And
love you guys too.
Thank you for being the best PA. And yeah,
Jamie's like, what?
Cool. And our second best. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you again on the next episode. So we hope to see you there. If you do have any questions, don't forget to submit. You can also DM us on Instagram at the QA podcast, or through the submission form at bit.ly/the QA subs. So yeah, thank you all, and we'll see you soon.
Bye. Follow us on Instagram. Bye. PLUR.